It's bigger. It's louder. It's better than ever. This still isn't your typical motorsports podcast. This is the 10th anniversary of Crush This, a monster truck podcast brought to you by J Concepts. For 10 years, your hosts, the monster truck Canucker Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash, have brought you into the minds and personalities of the monster truck industry. Strap in and hold on tight. This is Crush This!
Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Crush This, a Monster Truck Podcast presented by J Concepts. We're on another recorded episode. Currently right now I am heading to Austin, Texas to do the Austin Rodeo. It's a big complex deal right now. I'm pretty much going to be going to Corbin, Kentucky for the Monsters of Destruction tour and be with Mark and Kurt crewing for them for that show. The next race for me will be Enid, Oklahoma. Before that, Darlington, South Carolina for a NASCAR race. But once again, folks, thank you for being there. We were off for 2 weeks. For once again, I was actually driving the rig on the road on the Tuesday. Brad's right now finishing up college. Look out, some cool projects coming out with Brad. So that's some pretty cool stuff going on there too. Once again, guys, thank you for being on. This is another recorded episode. It's actually an RC episode. This RC episode, actually, we haven't done one in a few months, so we had this one in the books, getting ready to go. Actually been contacted with our guest here off and on. His patience is awesome, and talk to him very frequently through our Discord channel, and so he's really welcoming with this too. But us being a RC program with Crush This, with the RC monster trucks, we cannot thank enough of J Concepts. Once again, thank you for what they do. They help us out with our monster trucks world, especially me. My Lone Ranger RC project with the 73s that you can get from J Concepts, the Ranger body, the regulator chassis, all in that chassis, all that RC truck in general, you can get from J Concepts. The Escalade body, the regulator, like I said, the Renegade tires, the Gold Years, the Firestorms, leading the way in the RC monster truck world. They just created their brand new RC truck too, and that is pretty cool. I kind of want to use that as a sport mod, to be honest with you. I have my take on that, so we'll go from there. But it'd be pretty cool to put a Rambo body on that truck and be a, race sport mod, because that truck ran in the 90s, even though it was a leafer, and go from there. But while you're at it, while you want to get yourself some pretty cool items to build up your cool RC monster truck that you can make it look like the skull, like Sudden Impact or Bigfoot, or even Playing Crazy and Crazy Train, or you want to go and take a look over there like the Skull Bandit or Barefoot, you can do that. Maybe not Barefoot, maybe the Chevy Barefoot, but maybe you could do the Skull Bandit, stuff like that. But still, go to jconcepts.net and check out. Use the word Crush This to get 15% off on when you check out to go to jconcepts.net. Thank you from Jason Rona and his crew for another Florida base, which is a cool thing about our group. For this episode. Once again, guys, let you guys know this is a recorded episode for this going on. So if you have any questions or anything like that for Cody, he won't be answering. So if you get a text message or you text message him saying, "Hey, you jerk, you didn't answer my question when I was on the show," well, it's recorded and that's on you. And so you don't want to, insult Cody and make him feel bad that he wasn't allowed to answer questions. Because he can't see them. So once again, a recorded episode. So go to jconcepts.net and hit the promo code Crush This at checkout. Get yourself 50% off. It's pretty cool to do that. While we're at it, we do have a spread shop. So go to Crush This, a Monster Truck Podcast at spreadshop.com, We're getting new shirts, new stuff like that. We got shirts, hats. Brad Shipper from Against the Grain rocks it out. A couple people wear hats and T-shirts too. Go there. We got our Big Bad and Blown shirts and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Help out and support the podcast. Go to our spreadshop.com. And just to let you know, we still have items from 6B. Now it's made to order. So if you want to get the crew shirts, we got 3 different types of crew shirts, the OG, the retro, and the 4th of July crew shirt. We do have that. That could also convert into a hoodie. Just go us in contact, and then we can get 6B to make those items for you guys. So go to that too. It helps us out also with that. And then also go to monstersmonthly.com. They kind of copy our program here on StreamYard, and then they'll take that over to their website. We're kind of slowing down on the iTunes and Spotify items as of right now. We're still trying to figure that stuff out. It's kind of a big loss for us losing all that stuff for doing that. And we're it's kind of sour grapes, to be honest with you. But you can go on our Facebook and YouTube page to get the episodes, listen to episodes. If you go and download the YouTube Premium, that these episodes will still continue on and go from there. But Monsters Monthly goes and downloads our episodes and puts it on the website for fans to go watch also. So thank you for doing that, Monsters Monthly. Outside of that, guys, like I said, I caught up with the All Brothers wave going on and go from there. So we're going to thank another commercial, another sponsor. We're going to thank Monster Truck Attitude. That thing's booming big time. And go from there. Outside Thursday Night Thunder and Tuesday Night Smashdown, there's Sunday Velocity, the Sunday Madness, Wednesday Revolution, and I think Saturday Velocity. We'll add more to our cup of tea for that, but go take a look at that stuff. So we are going to add them right now for our commercial. And then we're going to talk to Mr. Corey. My goodness, I'm sorry for that. Cody Ingram, the guy who's going to do the Florida RC special events that's happening here in March. Like I said, right here is the ad for that. March 21st, 2026, Monster Smash, Spring Break Smash. So they're going to have three big classes here. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to go through the classes and stuff like that and go from there. But we're going to thank one of our good sponsors, Monster Truck Attitude, and go from there. So here we go.
Are you ready to get in on the action here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel? Look no further. Head over to Facebook where you can sign up for all the great events we host right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Be sure to sign up for the events and register your name and get locked in with a monster truck of your own and get ready for the great thrills and spills right here on the MTA YouTube channel. Again, find us on Facebook, register for these events, and you soon will be competing in all the great events. We hope to see you there. And get ready for the wild and crazy action. Be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a beat right here on the Monster Truck Attitude YouTube channel.
Well, here we go. Thank you for MTA, Monster Truck Attitude. And we have Mr. Cody Ingram, the Florida man, the guy who actually lives the most southern point of the state of Florida. Actually lives kind of the most southern state of the United States. But he is a huge monster truck fan, monster truck RC guy, and a huge Jester tomfoolery monster truck fan. Cody, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing really good today. This one's been a long time coming. We've talked about doing this a couple of times, and boy, if there was one that we needed to do one for this, it was this with what we got coming up here soon, doing RC stuff and finally hosting a special event here in Florida. It's been a long time coming for all of that.
Right on. So let's knock that out of the park first with the upcoming event, because a lot of people probably have an attention span of like a fifth grader. But you have this event, the Monster Smash Spring Break Smash, March 21st. Delray Beach, Florida. I think Delray that's near Miami. I think we were supposed to meet up that one time there when I did the college football championship, and we thought we were just going to do the display during the national championship. Didn't know we'd be doing a display during Fan Fest and stuff like that. Supposed to hang out with you guys with the Monster Truck All-Star stuff. But let's talk about this and how was this came about? What sprung and what wanted you to do this in motion, especially being kind of known guy in the Florida area. I know we have a couple like Dustin and a couple other people, but not as a big stronghold like you say with the guys up in the New England area or the St. Louis and California area. So how did this come about for you to start this event?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because a lot of people ask me that all the time. It's like, you're in Florida, the heartland of mud trucks and monster trucks. How come you don't do more RC stuff? And that was kind of what more or less got the ball rolling. So our main group that we have down here in the Miami area is a relatively new group and a very small group. They kind of more or less came about from an old crawler club local in Miami. When the LMT came out, everybody bought up LMTs because it was an easy and competent monster truck that could go out and race and do whatever it was. So I ran with them for a little bit, and I helped Camilo, the main organizer of the series, out a lot. Me and him have become good friends. And finally, he messaged me one day. I had been kind of prying at him a little bit about doing a special event, just a fun day event, no pressure, no extra stuff that makes people kind of wear their head with points and trophies and stuff like that. And finally, he messaged me one day. He sent me one of the Boneyard videos. It was like, how do we get people, this number of people to show up to one of our events? And that was more or less what spiraled into what we're doing here, where it was like, really, if we want to try to draw more attention to this club, this group, we really need to look into expanding, doing a bigger event, doing more promotion on social media, get more attention on the series itself so that more people know about it and it draws interest, and we find more local people to come down and want to participate. So that's more or less where that story came from.
So pretty much the pro mods, the vintage, and the mini are normally what you guys run on your club itself in general, correct?
Yeah. So we got a couple of other classes we also have sometimes, but the main ones that we do are the pro mod, the retros, the minis, and then we also have a independent suspension class for like your Stampedes and your Maxes and stuff like that. So, but for this one, we were incorporating freestyle, which is not something we normally do. So we had to cut a couple classes and shave a couple of things off of our normal event to make room for the stuff we really wanted to do to make this a special event.
I am interested though on the double elimination pattern. Not a lot of people do that. On my event, I normally do is, we not double elimination, but we give 2 rounds of racing, compared to that. And with that double elimination, how are you gonna, especially with the people, you never really have a guarantee on how many are gonna be there outside of your dedicated club members. I know a couple are making a trip over there. And they're both of our good friends. One is a master builder, the other one doesn't have a filter, and exactly what I'm talking about.
I sure do. He's gonna be sleeping on my couch here in 2 weeks.
Yeah. But so how are you going to handle that? That's I think an interesting question, because double elimination that's still a lot more. That's like some decent run time, but with people, if you have a good turnout and stuff like that, just wondering, that intrigues me.
So the double elimination came from something the group started doing early on, just to give people more track time. It was kind of one of those things where we would have some classes that would only have 4 to 6 people register at any one point, whereas other ones would have anywhere from 20 to 30 trucks registered. And so to kind of pad that out, we started doing double elimination on some of those classes just to give people more track time. And then it kind of more or less just rolled into what became our standard. So with the double elimination process, it'll be you do your qualifying, we set up the bracket, and then we'll run through a main bracket, a regular main bracket, till you get to the final round. And then the winner of that main bracket sits out. And then we rack up everybody that lost and run through a loser's bracket. And then we run through that bracket, and then the winner of the loser's bracket will race the winner of the main bracket to take the overall class win.
And let's go a little bit on brain farting here, your classes here, which maybe help understand and let people know what's going on, because maybe there's someone in Florida that watches this podcast and wants to get into it. These mini LMTs are starting to get popular. And so you're opening up not just the mini LMTs, but anything that's 18 scale or smaller with a solid axle. When any suspension setup is permanent. So pretty much you're doing a little bit of a mini pro mod, quite frankly.
That's kind of the idea. Is we actually have we normally have 2 separate mini classes. We have an 18 scale and a 24 scale, just because when we first started doing this, we found that the mini LMT was just blowing the smaller stuff out of the water. But now that some of that stuff is getting more established and that more brands are building stuff, we found that people are able to show up to these, and there's enough aftermarket out there to make some pretty competent trucks that small. So we decided to do like what you said, is just basically make it a scaled down version of Pro Mod.
And then that's still pretty cool stuff to so you have a class within a class, and then you have the vintage, which for us, it's, the old school trucks that I like and stuff like that. So all trucks must be a 27-turn brush motor. Use 2S lipos, and use the regular, the 2.6 no cut. So the gold years or the Firestorms and stuff like that. It's pretty cool detail that you're going here with the leafers. Talk a little bit about the leafer class here that, maybe help some people out.
So that was something that I had talked about to a bunch of different people, because the majority of the people that run in this class all run Clodbusters. And the thing is, the Clodbuster is the easiest truck you can just buy off the shelf and go racing right off the bat. And there's not really any off-the-shelf truck you can buy, or there wasn't. That's getting ready to change. But there really wasn't any leaf spring truck you could buy off the shelf. So I know Brass Ring Fab had built one. Black Market RC has a chassis conversion kit for the SMT10. And there's a handful of other people and other groups that made leaf spring trucks out of crawlers. And the leaf spring stuff is getting popular. And when I first started racing with these guys, I had built an SMT10 leafer, and it wasn't the fastest thing in the world, but it was fun. So we wanted to make sure we incorporated that to give people that option of, as long as it fits in the spirit of that old school 80s monster trucks, them big, heavy, bouncy trucks, it's fine. We'll do the tech inspection just to make sure it falls within the rules, but we're looking for that old school style. So if you have a Clodbuster,
sorry to interrupt. Are you doing this? Maybe you think about doing a speed run too?
At the moment, we're not implementing a speed run or a weight limit. Right now, the main thing is just having everybody on the same power, and then we're going to leave everything open to interpretation for simplicity purposes. The idea is this is a special.
That's what I did on my thing.
Yeah, it's a special event. We're not really going to be super harsh on the rules. We just want to make sure everybody's playing fair, and we want everybody to have fun. So.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, because that's what I wanted to do with that's what my game plan was with the Hall Brothers Classic, was an introduction for people to do monster truck RC racing. So many groups have so many rules that sometimes someone's afraid of joining and going, I'm maybe gonna wait and stuff like that. So I made it where looks like you're hitting that same direction too, where just having fun. You can bring a truck that's, maybe you have an LMT that's a basher, but you want to race it, and stuff like that, which kind of helped out because Andy Sonardo, John White, a couple other people that now are strictly RC monster truck guys are now doing it just because of the event that I hosted, which is pretty cool. And they're doing the same thing. And I hope it really grows pretty big in the Florida division. Our last one is the most popular one, and that is the Pro Mod division here. Pretty much anything goes. I mean, permits, the 3S battery. You see everything, and even the background is pretty much any suspension. So let me read this aloud. Racing trucks, any motor pinion is permitted. 3S lipo is max size. Any 2.6 size wheel and tire combo. So if anyone wants to know what a 2.6 is, pretty much the standard wheel, it's called J Concepts calls it a tribute rim. There's different sizes, like a 2.2. A lot of groups outside of Florida or anywhere, they do a 2.2 style racing. Some like in Peoria and Wisconsin, some areas they run those type of classes, but you need a 2.6 suspension. Any suspension setups allowed while keeping the solid front and rear axles. Any body and design is permitted. Aftermarket chassis is allowed. Freestyle trucks, pretty much a lot of people freestyle their other division trucks, mostly the Pro Mods, or they have a Pro Mod freestyle truck. All the rules of the Pro Mod apply to the freestyle competition trucks. I mean, with a lot of people entering monster truck stuff, the most easiest way to get into it is the Pro Mod division with the LMT. And sometimes if you find yourself at Axial, you can modify it to it. It's a really easy way to get in before then you start introducing aftermarket, then the other divisions. So for me, the Pro Mod class was very important because you bring out it's the most trucks that's out of the whole class. For you, having a little bit of the Pro Mod and a lot of your trucks here in general are based off of modern monster trucks and stuff like that. Really, I mean, the Pro Mod division self-explanatory, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's pretty much you show up with whatever you got. If you want to race, if you want to max out the number of entries and you want to race your retro, you're more than welcome to. It's pretty much just no rules with exception of just the lipo limit, and keep it scale monster truck racing, and everything else goes. It'll be what it'll be. It'll be fun to watch.
But so also want to thank, before we go and take a commercial break and talk about a little bit of about your personal RC collection, we got to thank the sponsors here. These people are stepping up to help out with your program. Like I said, when I do my event, without them doing giveaways and stuff like that to help out what's going on, my event wouldn't be just as good as it was. With the sponsors that you have here helping you out, I mean, let's talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, the biggest ones I got to give credit to are Elliot Miller with Monster Truck Throwdown, Sinistar Motorsports, Black Market RC, ICA 3D, A Main Hobbies, J Concepts. All of those guys stepped up and reached out and said, we're going to help you make this the biggest event that we can make it, because they all thought the same thing. It's like, wow, it's Florida. You would think there would be more interest in this, and there just hasn't been. Nobody's made this attempt to do it. So since we are more or less one of the first ones to do it this far south, everybody kind of dove into the deep end of the pool and was like, we're here to help you. We've got some awesome prizes. I won't spoil any of them. Got to try to get people to come out and be intrigued. But we've got a handful of ready-to-run RC trucks to give out. We've got a whole bunch of scale aftermarket accessories, whole bunch of just extra stuff, tools and stuff to go in your workshop. And I really can't thank those guys enough. And I especially want to thank ICA 3D Isaac. He made some of the coolest trophies I think I've ever seen a Monster Truck series have. And if that don't make you want to come out and try to take home one of those, I don't know what will. I'll be out of ideas at that point.
But let some people know about the information also. It's March 21st, 2026. It's in Delray Beach, Florida. If anyone wants to know where that's at, it's kind of close to the bottom of Florida. The location is, I think, 10875 West Atlantic Avenue. Once again, this is an event that you have to enter fee. So some of these special events, they will have a big fee for the first truck, which is between $10, $15, $20. This event's $20. And then additional trucks after that will be between 5 to 10, which this one will be 10. Just to let you know, folks, know that you only have 4 max for each class. So, and then 2 for freestyle. They don't get charged for freestyle, correct? This is just the entry for racing, or?
So how we're going to do it is repeat entries. We won't charge. If you show up and you have a special dedicated truck for freestyle, you will have to pay the $10 for the extra. But if you show up with one truck and you run multiple classes, you just pay the $20. But if you show up with a max amount of entries for each class and have your own separate army of trucks, then you'll pay for each one. Because we have a couple people that are like that, that'll show up with a trailer of 40 to 50 RCs deep and be like, which one of my collection do I want to run? And it's like, man, what would it be like to have that kind of money?
Right. And a trailer.
Yeah. Trailer with air conditioning.
Yeah. But still, there's prizes thanks to the sponsors that we have. And then like the 3 classes that are going on, actually it's technically 4. You got your Pro Mod Vintage, and then you got 2 minis. So you got your 18th and 24. So you got that double elimination racing. Now, for some people that are entering, is it just a single round of racing, or is there going to be 2 rounds of racing?
So the format of racing will be 1 main bracket per class. We're going to do a 10-minute open practice. Everybody will get 2 qualifying passes. And then we will do the double elimination bracket like we talked about earlier. So it'll essentially be like 2 brackets in one. You essentially get 2 chances to go through the bracket and take home a trophy per class.
That's like pretty much doing 2 separate rounds, but you're doing one section of racing as 2 separate rounds, like you said. So that's pretty cool. And once again, folks, March 21st. So from now on our episodes, we'll try to, I think there's almost 1 more week, and go from there. So go take a look at the Monster Smash Spring Break Smash. Go to Facebook, and I will, there we go. She's getting a little slow. More. Okay, let's see here. I'm trying to get as much as I can here. If any information, okay, so we got this here. Copy, banner, add. Okay, folks, this is the link to the Florida Special Events RC series. Go take a look at that. We will put that on our Facebook page on the Crush This Monster podcast. So come on out and enjoy prizes, stuff like that, and have fun with that. But we're not done yet in this episode. We are going to talk more with Cody here. We're going to thank one of our sponsors, and then we're going to talk about his love on recreating one of the most popular monster truck teams out there right now, Tom Ford Motorsports, and his RC trucks. And right now, probably the most detailed misfire truck out there currently. So we'll be right back. Want to thank Back Channel Productions, Nick Davis. He just came out with a bunch of videos with the Indianapolis Jamboree at Indianapolis State Fairgrounds in 2024. Go take a look at that at Back Channel Productions on YouTube and on Facebook. Once again, guys, we are on a recorded episode, so if you have any questions or anything, Cody won't be able to read it. So if you go and want to ask him anything about the event that's coming out March 21st, the Monster Smash Show, you can talk to him on Instagram or on Facebook, and he'll be more than welcome. Or ask on the Florida RC Special Events page on Facebook. So go take a look at that stuff too. But once again, this is a recorded episode. But once again, we're gonna flip the mold here and still talk a little bit about RCs and talk about these bangers right here. You know, your RC monster trucks. What got you to become a pretty decent tomfoolery fan, and what got you to start making the projects on these awesome products that they come to have on the first scale, making them 10 scale wise?
Well, the love of tomfoolery motorsports goes all the way back to that first show they did in 2015. I was at that first Miami show where they debuted. And Matt, I had brought some friends of mine who had never been to a show. That was their first show. And Matt was kind of one of the standout guys they talked to at the pit party. And they were like, just so amazed that like, wow, that dude's really nice. And he's like so open to talk to people. And it was like, that's the kind of good first impression I like to see the monster truck industry give on people who are new and who are curious about this. And Matt was just always a class act, and so was Nick and Michael and Laura and Brooke. And so when I used to race RCs when I was in my younger days, I used to do Nitro, T-Maxes, two-wheel drive stadium trucks, and I got out of it. Same with a lot of people. When you're little, your toys get bigger and more expensive, so RCs turn into ATVs, turn into hot rods, turn into mud trucks. And then I went back to doing RC stuff in 2020, and I wanted to do Jester because I've always been a big supporter of the Florida monster truck teams. So Scott Hartsock and Gunslinger was always a childhood favorite of mine. But around that time, Matt Paggs was one of the big rising stars in the monster truck industry. He was always a contender at the top of every competition. And Nick was really starting to come into his stride in Kraken. So when I started getting into doing RCs, I was like, all right, I want to do Jester and I want to do Kraken. So that was kind of more or less what kind of staked my claim to fame was those two first Jester and Kraken trucks I built, because I built them to be as scale as possible. And they were both still competition trucks. I was never afraid to go out to any event and run those trucks as hard as possible. And I still hear people screaming at me to this day, don't wreck Kraken! So, and just as the years have gone on, everything progressed. LMT came out. So we got more scale parts. We got more paint options became available. People got better at 3D printing the bodies, so everything just kind of kept growing and growing to now I have almost the entire tomfoolery fleet of trucks sitting over in my table over there.
And then you have the Excalibur, but this one though, people talk about, and you have showed this up big time. They even did a YouTube video during their way is the Misfire, the new truck that Brooke had. We had her on a couple weeks ago and talked about that. But what came to light for this one? I mean, her truck's kind of still basically new, and you were on top of that faster than ants on sugar.
I had a little bit of a head start because that truck is actually the original Jester rebuild I did. When I went to Horizon Fest a couple of years ago, I got with Black Market RC and I said, I want to make a Patrick chassis clone for a Jester and a Kraken to just bolt right onto an LMT. So he cut me one. He sent it to me. I sent it to Monster Powder Works, who was able to color match all the details. And that was what I ran as Jester for the longest time. And then when Misfire got unveiled at World Finals last year, the 64 to 66 C10 is one of my all-time favorite Chevy pickup trucks. So I was immediately a hooked sucker for that truck. And I was like, I got to do it. There's no question about it. I got to do it. I got to be the first to do it. And I got to do it better than anybody else does because I'm the one that's known as the guy that does all the PAGS trucks. So we stripped all the Jester parts off. We had everything powder coated and color matched to the Misfire stuff. And we threw on the LED lights. ICA 3D printed one of the coolest bodies ever. The cab was stretched to make it look more scale and fit the roll cage better. And the PAGS had come out with a decal set that you can throw on your truck. Buy yourself a J Concepts body or Proline, whatever your fit is, and make your own version. But we really wanted to do it right. We got the Patrick chassis, we got the J Concepts wheels and tires, we got the custom 3D printed body, and we had to even come up with a custom paint color for the body because it's such a unique color that changes depending on how the light hits it. So there was a lot of work that went into that truck, and it became a kind of a bigger pain in the butt to do than we had initially thought. But when it came together, you see it right there. It came together. And then when we took it to the All-Star shows, because our group always does pit party exhibition and entertainment for the All-Star Monster Truck Series, we threw that truck up there on the tire, and that just got everybody's attention with the pink lights going, and just kids were going up to it and talking about it. And even Nick and Brooke were like, man, we got to get one of these. This thing's too cool.
I was about to say, how were their reactions to it and for that being so detailed?
I think Nick had a bigger reaction out of it than Brooke did, to be honest. But I think that comes from the fact that Nick basically built that truck with his bare hands from scratch. So, but they were both all over it, and they were both impressed how close I got to the color, being how much of a custom color that was. And they just kept turning it around and noticing all the details on it, from the Patrick cradle, and then it was a full cage, and then the details of the powder coating, the sway bars, the body. Like I said, the fact that the cab was even stretched. The more they looked at it, the more they realized that there was a lot of work that went into that truck.
And you did the Kraken and the Jester and stuff like that. These trucks, they're in real life, they're detailed to the max and they're complicated. And you got to do the same thing also. And people now, there's a lot that's kind of neat though, because when people talk about a Hall Brothers truck, they talk about what I do and the trucks that I make. But you talk about Taurus, Jeremy Mark does that. Chris Parrish has the Barefoots, and obviously Bob Jr. does the Bigfoots, and Josh is a Gravedigger. But it's cool that people know that when they see a Jester truck. I mean, there's tons. Don't get me wrong. For people that want, you are more welcome to, folks, to make your own Raminator, Bigfoot, Jester, Excalibur. what that comes about, but when people see your trucks with tomfoolery, they know who you are, and you're the Jester guy.
I take a lot of pride in my equipment because when I was a kid, the most scaled truck you could buy was a Traxxas T-Max.
Mm-hmm.
That was the hot ticket truck because that had the Chevron tires with the 8 shocks on it. But that still wasn't a scale truck to me. I would still look at that, and I loved my old T-Max, but I was like, man, this doesn't look like a monster truck. And when the SMT-10 and the LMTs came out, I was always like, man, I want to build a competent competition truck, but I don't see why I feel like I have to compromise scale details for performance. And so that's always been kind of my biggest stick with these trucks is I want my trucks to where if you look at a photo, it's almost, if you didn't know any better, it would almost be hard to tell that was an RC. And then when you stick the RC next to the real truck and the more you look at it, it's like, wow, he really went all out. So yeah, with Kraken, we go so far as to even include the LEDs in the eyes when I make my Kraken trucks. And I spare no expense. These things get to be a lot of money, but it's worth it for me because, like you said, it stands out. These trucks stand out in the crowd of people because there's a lot of Jesters out there and Excaliburs. They're popular trucks, and I'm always glad to see them. But it's always also a good feeling when you go to an event on the other side of the United States and somebody's like, yeah, I think I might bring my Kraken truck. Oh, wait, Cody's coming with his Kraken truck? Oh, yeah, no, never mind. I don't want to have to compete against that one.
Mm-hmm. You know, and it's pretty cool to see that. We're going to talk a little bit about the Monster Truck All-Star shows. We're going to thank our last sponsor, and then we'll do our talk about our next topic and close out the show. So we'll be right back. Yes, want to thank our other people, Kobe Marshall and MTRC. They don't do a racing league, but they do pretty cool scale RC monster truck action, and we like to thank them for also our intro that we do for Crush This. So Cody, you're part of the Monster Truck All-Star Monster Truck Tour, and you guys do, like you said, you do the pit parties and stuff like that all over, some of the Florida-based. How is it the program that you guys do? Is it like a pretty much like a smash and bash, or do you let people try some of the RC trucks?
No, for us, it is just a straightforward smash and bash. We keep the group kind of small, and we make sure that whoever shows up to these is competent and people that we trust, because these trucks are fast. They're still dangerous, and if you're not careful with them, somebody can get hurt. So All-Star, Brian Wagner, Stacy Jensen, they trust us and they trust our group to come out and put on a show and provide a good product for the fans. So we want to make sure that we bring out our best guys who can go out there and put on a show and do it safely, and just make sure that if anything does go wrong, it's not anything that's going to affect the crowd or affect the show itself. And we have a couple of kids who I'm very impressed with. I specifically want to call out Alex, a good friend of mine, Alex, who's still in his younger days. He's not even into high school yet, but he has really stepped up his game and showed himself to be a quite competent racer and a quite skilled RC kid. Man, and I've been very impressed, and we've been bringing him and his family out, and it's been a good time.
So you do your runs. I know there's some highlight videos and stuff like that to also. But how do you get how are the people fans reaction? I mean, it's a pretty good thing maybe to get people involved with the RC Monster Truck shows, especially your event coming out March 21st, 2026. The Monster Smash Spring Break Smash. Do you try to get that promoted and try to it's involve people that maybe is afraid of it, or maybe kind of get them to go and do this stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We always set up a table and a tent like right there on the edge of where the pit party line is so that kids and people can come up and see these trucks in person and ask questions and get an idea of what it is we do. And we absolutely say, hey, we have a summer series we do. And obviously this past first quarter of events I did, we were like, yeah, we have a special event. If you're curious about it, if your kids are curious about it, just come on out and see it. If you want to sign up for the raffle, we're giving away ready to run RC cars. You could take one home for free if you get the chance and see if you like it. And if not, it gives you a good idea of what we do with these things. And it's a great fan interaction and it draws a crowd. And I talked to Stacy Jensen about this the last event I was at, where he was like, yeah, it never ceases to amaze me. He goes, if you got the right people there, the RC will almost draw bigger crowds than the real monster trucks will at pit party. You have just crowds and crowds of people pushing up against the barriers and the tape, trying to get closer and closer to the RCs because it's something that's more realistic to be able to grab hold of and do for themselves at home. And that's what makes this hobby cool, is that it is something that anybody can do at home. The fact that there is aftermarket and that you can break these trucks and fix it makes it something special, and it teaches you a good starting base of how to learn mechanics. And if you're somebody like my friend Dustin, he started out in RCs and now he's throwing the real high tide monster truck higher than anybody else's on the All-Star Tour.
Yep, and he also the RC fanatic in general, and I had him over in my event 2 years ago. And so it's pretty cool. It's a perfect proven fact that you can start somewhere and go from there. And there's quite a few numbers, barring Masauer, myself, Dustin, we all drive the ones and go from there. So that's pretty cool to go see. Where can fans see you guys next with your demos?
So we will have the Monster Smash Spring Break Smash here in March 21st. And then my next show will be the homecoming season finale in Ringgold, Georgia for the All-Star Monster Truck Tour. After that, we don't have an updated schedule, but as soon as we have an updated schedule of what's going on with the All-Star Tour and with the 2 Extreme Tour and guys like that, we will let everybody know that we'll be going out and having fun and putting on a show for you guys. So, but as of right now, that's the only.
How about your summer tour too? I mean, your summer season with the RC group. I mean.
Mm-hmm. So we normally do 5 to 6 events over the summertime. We don't have a current updated list, but we're looking at maybe starting around May time. We're looking at possibly trying a new location this year to part of our expansion. Growing and trying to get more people involved. We're looking at maybe trying a new location to run, and if it doesn't work out, we'll go back to the dirt oval in Del Rey that we've been running. But yep, from the summertime, we'll definitely have an event in June and July and August, and we may do a couple more special events sprinkled throughout the year. But we've put a lot of our time and effort to make sure that this March event coming up is the biggest and best show that we can possibly make for anyone and everyone who wants to come out and have a good time.
Like I said before in this podcast, it is a recorded episode. So if you have any questions for Cody, he cannot answer it, or myself too. But once again, we're going to close up the show here. Go to, if you guys are interested, March 21st, 2026, Delray Beach, Florida. The Monster Smash. Please, if you have any questions, go to the Facebook page of the Florida. Why is it doing this? Sorry, my computer is acting a little bit up here. Let's go back here. There we go. Florida RC special events. Like I said, I will bring that up and put it on the Crush This podcast. Go, if you're also friends with Cody and you have any questions, message him on Facebook or on Instagram, and he'll probably feel free to ask him, and he'll answer and let you know what needs to be done and what can be going on. But pretty much if you want to screenshot that at the first part of the episode, if you do jump on, go back and listen to the first part or watch the first part of the episode. We did explain about the program, and hopefully you folks are more than welcome to come on in. And if you don't need, and also just to be clear, if you want to check it out, you don't have to bring an RC truck with you to it's not a $50 entry fee just to enter. This is for entry fee if you want to participate in racing and all the classes. If you just want to go there and watch, you're more than welcome to watch and pick the brains like Cody or Isaac or Mike Buffka or other people that are going to be there. That's free. To learn to get yourself into the hobby, they're more welcome to talk to you about that. So there is no fee for you to get there and watch. But if you want to go and if you want a piece of the pie, you gotta pay for the pie, and go from there. Like he said, also, if you don't have one and you're interested, they have a raffle. They're gonna have trucks or vehicles that you have a chance to win and go from there. And you can come out with maybe a RC monster truck that you weren't planning on getting later that day, and that will bridge on to coming out to one of their regular season programs during the summertime and get the ball rolling from there. But like I said, it doesn't cost you anything to come out and enjoy your time watching some cool RC stuff and go from there. Is there any social media people can follow you out there, Cody?
Yep, on Instagram, you can follow me at Adrenaline Rush RC Monster Trucks or RC Motorsports. Honestly, can't remember off the top of my head, but just look up Adrenaline Rush RC. You'll find me on Facebook. Just look for me under Cody Ingram. And then, yeah, both of the RC special events accounts on Instagram and Facebook. If anybody ever has any questions or needs help with anything, message me at any time. I'm always available. I'm always willing to answer any and all questions people have. That's
awesome. And once again, guys, follow us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, also on TikTok. Follow me at MT_DanAgosh28 on Instagram, Dan Chichegosh on Facebook, and I'm also on TikTok. And my obsession on Whatnot starting to become a problem, and I need to stop going Whatnot. But outside of that, Bradshaw, go take a look at him at the Monster Truck Canada, loses to America, and the gold medals and .com or whatever place he goes and designs stuff like that. So go follow him on Facebook and Instagram on the Only Monster Truck Knucker on that stuff, and hopefully we'll see his happy face again here. But once again, folks, thank you for this episode. Like I said, for next week, as it'll be a TBA, I'll let you know and see how my schedule is. But we'll get the ball rolling. I do apologize for this. I'm trying to keep up with the Joneses and go from there. So once again, thank you guys for watching. And like what Brad always says, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. Good night.